So today we're going to be talking about brand success and what it takes to really build a compelling brand that magnetizes your clients to your business. So, whether you're starting out or scaling up or just refining your brand, like this session is going to equip you with powerful strategies to stand out in the market. So before we get into how to build a compelling brand, a little bit about me. I am a lead business consultant with the SBDC. I have an agency where I do help visionary CEOs and founders with their growth strategies, and I've been featured in several magazines. But before all of that, I was born into entrepreneurship. I basically learned about businesses my entire life. It's in my DNA. I had a 20-year career on Wall Street where I've learned about everything it takes for a business to be viable and also what customers are looking for in terms of trusting a brand to invest in it, right? Um, I'm also a number one selling author. So I know that this is a course, but I'm sure at some point or another, some of you have thought about, starting your own business. So you're in the right place if you're trying to spark up your business. You've thought of starting your own business, but don't know where to start. You're trying to revive and thrive, have a business that's, that a business that's currently experiencing burnout, or trying to elevate, having difficulty getting, to two times your revenue or five times your revenue or 10 times your revenue. Usually, all of this leads to your brand development. So, branding is more than just a logo or a catchy line, it's really an emotional connection. Branding is the heartbeat of your business, right? And it's, as I just mentioned, that emotional connection between the company and its audience. So you're building relationships and making a lasting impact. I want you to think of your brand as a promise to your customers. It tells them what to expect and why they should choose you over the competition. So here are a few statistics that you should know, and this is all related to branding. And we're talking about more than just a logo or fonts or colors, okay? Did you know that brands with poor branding actually pay 10 times higher in salaries to attract talent? That's usually because their company culture doesn't speak to their brand experience. And so there's a lot of churning, employee churning, right? And every time you lose an employee, you actually have to spend money in retraining those employees. Did you know that 89% of customers stay loyal to brands that are aligned with their values? And we see this true. I mean, just look at the brands that you probably consume today. There's a value in that company that speaks to your values. For example, mine is Starbucks. I love the fact that they build community. I'm a community builder. Um, it takes 5 to 7 impressions for people to remember a brand. And when in branding, you have to be consistent across all platforms. So if I, as a customer, go to your social media and that brand speaks differently than your website, I'm not going to trust you, right? Additionally, brands that are consistent with their brands can actually increase their revenue by 23%. So it pays to be conscious of your brand and take the time out to build your brand. So here's a little trivia, and we can use the chat if you'd like. And here's where we get a little interactive. So which company, and not just wiped out, this happened actually a couple of months ago, but which company wiped 32% of their brand value by just changing their logo? If you have an idea or just want to take a guess, you can use the chat to do so. And don't be shy. Um, no judgment here. I'll give you 30 seconds. All right. Well, the company was what we used to know of Twitter, right? Elon Musk purchased Twitter and immediately changed the logo to X. And its users just couldn't relate to that decision. They couldn't relate to that change. And so immediately they lost 32% of their value overnight because so many people closed their accounts and they just couldn't get on board with whatever their mission was going to be moving forward. All right, so here are the consequences of ignoring brand development. If you don't take control of your brand, the market will do it for you, as we saw with the example of Twitter. And the results won't always be in your favor. So, without a clear brand identity, businesses struggle with inconsistent messaging, right? Marketing, lack of customer trust, and difficulty in driving revenue. So, a weak brand lends itself to confusion, disengagement, and even imposter syndrome. Because if you don't know where you stand, it's hard for you to believe that your business is viable and sell the best of your business, right? So taking the time out to really focus on brand development is a win-win all around. Now, here's a roadmap of a typical business owner. A typical business owner will have a business idea, immediately invest in a logo that usually has nothing to do with what the actual business is going to be about. And then they straight away start networking because, of course, we need to make some revenue, right? Bring some cash flow into the business. But now they're being asked about their business and they have no idea what to say. So then they decide, well, maybe I should put a business plan together. And they do, but it's taking them so much time and they get frustrated because it's deep work that they're not used to. So the product that they launched isn't bringing in revenue and they think that it can't be anything else. It can't be that the branding's not there. No, we're going to launch a new product now. And now that product doesn't do well either. So they finally, it hits them that maybe it's the marketing. So they go back to a marketing plan. And then that's when they recognize that they actually never had a true brand for their business. And they focus on the branding, and now their plane takes off, the business takes off, and it really propels profits. So, where most business owners tend to be when they're not focusing on branding is that they're doubting themselves in the business. They're telling themselves that they have no time to do all the things because they don't have direction. They're scared to face their numbers. They're overwhelmed with posting on social and figuring out a marketing strategy. And they're stuck with finding clients. Now, once you focus on brand development and all the elements that go into brand development, that's where you end up feeling confident in yourself and your business decisions because you're able to see the full business strategy. You feel productive and balanced. You embrace your numbers and have clarity on how to drive business forward. And you create content that you easily can show up for because you know exactly who your audience is and how they expect you to speak to them, right? And you become a magnet for your ideal client. All of this requires deep work because oftentimes business owners get so focused on generating revenue that they don't realize that just by taking a day or two and focusing on the deep work of brand development, which is asking yourself all these hard questions, or even better, getting to know your customer better than they know themselves, this is where the magic happens. Okay. So I encourage you to do the deep work to find out what your brand should really be and how to stand out. And I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to be doing that. So brand development, again, helps you cultivate that fearless mindset where you're so clear on your brand, your messaging, your strategy, your ideal customer, that it's easy to find innovative ways to bring new products or services to the business. It helps you be fanatical about your numbers because once your brand is aligned with your clients and you start seeing the revenue coming in, or you start seeing those open clicks on your emails increasing, it makes you fanatical. You're like, oh, wow, I'm onto something. And then lastly, it helps you become a client magnet where you don't really have to do much to actually attract clients to your business. Because when you build your brand the right way, the customer is the hero of the story, not your brand. So you're coming from a perspective of helping your customer achieve their goals, right? Versus coming from a place of, I have a business, this is my business, these are my strategies. Total different way of thinking, right? It's a switch that needs to happen where you're not thinking about yourself and what your needs are for the business. You're thinking about who the business actually helps, helps with their challenges and where they want to be. So, how do we build a brand? These are the elements of actually building a brand. And if you notice, I didn't add logo, I didn't add font, I didn't add colors because that's pretty easy. But the difficult part and the part that's long lasting and really is the nuts and bolts of brand building is understanding your positioning. So where are you positioned against your competitors, right? Your brand tone, how are you speaking to your audience? Knowing your customer, maybe your ideal customer that you started with after you do your brand development could change and be a completely different customer segment. You need to have a purpose statement, right? Know your value proposition, what makes you different from everybody else, what makes you unique. Your customer commitment, which often you'll see this on your website as your approach, is how do you keep them coming back, right? How do you make them your loyal customers? Then there's your elevator pitch, which is your like 1 minute pitch where people know exactly what you do, who you do it for, and what's the end result. Then a tagline, which is really a short little declaration of what your business does. And lastly, your founder biography, which is why you started your business. So let's dig a little deeper into these elements. Positioning is truly how your brand stands out in a crowded market. It's not just about what you sell, but it's about how your customers perceive your value compared to your competitors. So here's when you really need to identify your competitors, know their benefits, their disadvantages, so you can weigh in where you stand according to that. Um, and creating a strong brand identity. So again, um, you know, being clear and consistent, like it really simplifies the decision making of your customers when they can land on your website, land on your social, get an email from you, and everything is the same. You feel like you're part of that company, right? And lastly, positioning helps you drive consumer preference. So it helps you define how you want customers to see you. Are you the premium choice? Are you the most innovative? Positioning, helps, it talks about owning your space in the market and shaping the perception of your customer base. So when you do this right, positioning makes your brand unforgettable and it drives long-term success. There's your brand tone, and this really helps out with everything. It helps with your website, social media, everything, anything where you have to write content, right? Because brand tone sets that emotional foundation of your messaging. Are you humorous? Are you professional? Are you quirky? Are you relatable? So I encourage you to choose a tone that resonates with your audience and stays consistent across all platforms. Like my tone for my businesses is usually bold and relatable because that's just what my personality is like. And so I attract people that have that same bold and relatable personality. Another element is knowing your customer and knowing them really well. So, understanding how to categorize your audience by location will give you worlds of information, right? I have a customer that has a clothing line, a retail clothing line, and they have chosen, because of the materials, to only sell to their audience that is in southern states or warm states so that they don't have to add more costs to their business, adding other different fabrics. That's how powerful it is to know your audience, even the geography. The psychographics. So, you know, it's the how people think and what they aspire to be. So this is where you know their challenges, you know what they value, you know their pain points. Demographic segmentation. You want to understand like if there's any grouping of customers where you can, base shared characteristics like age, gender, income, occupation, because that's going to help you build a more compelling brand. And lastly, behavior segmentation. So it's that strategy that filters groups according to their behaviors. Like, are they drinking coffee every day? Are they using their Apple versus an iOS? All of this helps you build a brand that actually speaks to this customer. Then there's your purpose statement, which explains why your brand exists beyond just making a profit. Your brand should be inspiring and aligned with your values. So I'm gonna have here two examples, Nike and Starbucks. So with Nike, they bring inspiration. Um, this is actually their purpose statement to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And every athlete means if you have a body, you're an athlete. Okay. And Starbucks, their purpose statement is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. And if you've been to a Starbucks, you feel that the moment that you walk in. Actually, tell me in the chat, if you've been to Starbucks, do you feel that purpose statement? Do you feel that they're inspiring and nurturing your human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time? You can tell me in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. I'd love for this to be interactive.
It feels like a very welcoming environment.
Right.
Hi, I'm Anna. Morning. Well, I think they do. Actually, I'm from Colombia, so I don't usually buy at Starbucks, even though we have one there. But now that I'm here, I feel that they show their statement or their value proposition with everything, and starting also with the environment. So
Absolutely.
so so without actually having someone maybe saying hi when you come in, the space makes you feel that.
Exactly. Because they really took the time to make sure that their brand is conveyed within the space, within even the locations that they choose, right? Thank you so much, Anna. So now let's move on to customer commitment. So this is the statement where your brand is promising to your customers exactly the how you're going to, take that purpose statement and make it happen, right? It's going to clearly communicate your values, build trust, strengthen brand loyalty. So when I talk to people about customer commitment, it's the, when you go to a retail store and they take your email and your birthday, and they're going to send you a discount on your birthday. That's their way of showing their loyalty to you and you feel it. And so you want to be loyal to them and you go shop again, right? So here I have again using Nike and Starbucks, their customer commitment statements, and you'll see that it's a little longer because there's all these elements that are really important to their brand, and it's what makes their brand consistent in every area, from the products they select, from the people that they employ, from the type of messaging they put out into the world, right, to sell their campaigns. So you'll see with Nike, quality assurance is important to them, innovation, inclusivity, sustainability, customer service, inspiration, right? And to go a little deeper, like in innovation, Nike even says Nike is dedicated to continually innovating its products and technologies to enhance athletes' performance and comfort. And who's an athlete? Anybody that has a body. Then we have Starbucks, where their customer commitment is quality coffee, although some of us may question that sometimes, but quality coffee, customer experience, customization, right? It's you go in there, there's several steps that have to happen before you get your coffee. Community, inclusivity, and customer feedback. They're always asking for that customer feedback. And believe it or not, I'll even add something here that's not added. Starbucks is the best bank account ever because if you have their app, you get to order easily. And I don't know about you, but every time I open my app, there's money there and I'm happy. It's a bank I didn't know I had. But that's how they make you feel in community and dependent on them, right? The next element in building a brand is having an elevator pitch. And an elevator pitch helps capture your listener's attention and the essence of your brand in a short period of time. And from my understanding, many of you may have a pitch competition at the end. Am I right? So this is why branding is so much more important for you, because all these steps that I just spoke about lead to this elevator pitch, right? You have to know what is your tone. You have to know what is your purpose, what is your commitment, because this elevator pitch is a very short and concise, succinct message that lends itself to that because you only have a certain amount of time of somebody's attention span, right? Um, so in this case, I'm using Starbucks again as an example. And this is their elevator pitch. Starbucks is more than just a coffee shop. We're a global community of coffee lovers who value quality, sustainability, and connection. With over 30,000 stores worldwide, we serve exceptional coffee, handcrafted beverages, and delicious food options. So I'm super clear about what they are, who they're doing this for, and the end result. The end result is that I'm going to walk into every Starbucks and get exceptional coffee, handcrafted beverages, and delicious food options. Next is the tagline. And I can't tell you how many times I've consulted businesses and they have a tagline that has absolutely nothing to do with the business. And so it's not capturing their audience. It's not bringing in new clients. So your tagline is a known slogan. It's concise, it's memorable. It could be a word, it could be several words, it could be a phrase, it could be a sentence, but it encapsulates the essence of the brand. So it's your mini declaration of almost like putting that bat signal of, hey, tribe, I'm here, right? If you see the bat signal, you know exactly what that means. Well, when people read your slogan, they should equally know what that means. So an effective tagline for a brand is usually concise, clear, memorable, it's relevant, it's unique, it's emotional. And some sample taglines, again, Nike, just do it, which encourages action, motivation, determination. Apple, think different. They're emphasizing innovation and nonconformity, right? Being disruptive. And L'Oreal, because you're worth it. That encourages self-confidence and self-worth. So think about what you want your brand to encourage to your customer base. Then we have about the founder, and many business owners have take issue with talking about themselves. But truly, brands, potential customers want to invest in brands that tell a story, that connect people, that are not just businesses. So a strong founder bio builds that trust, builds that credibility, creates that emotional connection with your audience. Just recently on TikTok, there was a Puerto Rican girl, I think her name was Rachel, that has a coffee shop in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And I've been following her for since she started. And if you follow her TikTok page from the beginning to now, she's been very intentional with the brand and how she communicates these elements. You can see her tone. Her tone is very relatable. I'm part of the community, right? I'm, a new entrepreneur. You can see her value proposition. She roasts her own coffee. So she roasts it not just for her business, but she also delivers it to other businesses. And even the products that she sells, the coffees, they all have something to do with her culture, with being Puerto Rican, right? And recently she was on TikTok crying because, her business was being challenged. And just by being vulnerable and speaking about her experience as a founder, she was able to turn that around and have so many celebrities and people come from all over the place to support her, where there was a line with hundreds of people in front of her buddy's coffee shop. So there is power in crafting your own bio. So in that bio, you should be introducing yourself, sharing your why, right? Share your uniqueness, position yourself as an expert, and help your ideal customer reach their goals. You want to establish a clear call to buy my product or visit my website or come visit us at our location, right? So I hope what you've gathered from this presentation so far is that branding requires you to be intentional. No business is successful overnight. It's taken time to craft a strategy, a message that really attracts your ideal customer, right? So being intentional means you know your why. You know why you're making every decision that aligns with your goals. You're showing up consistently um, because your brand isn't going to be built in a day. And your brand is going to evolve too, according to how your customers evolve. Um, and you want to be intentional about delivering value with purpose, right? So I want you to ask yourself, like, are you moving with purpose with this business that you're building or that you have? Are you making each action count? So I want you to commit today to being intentional every step forward with your brand. So now, you're like, I have all these elements, and the idea is that each of those elements you would turn into a brand deck. All right. And that brand deck is pretty much what you're probably working on right now to help you with that pitch competition. It's going to look very similar. And the beauty about that brand deck is that once you have it complete, once you've been intentional, you've done the deep work, now you have the copy for your website. You can literally copy and paste and add it to your website. You have consistent marketing. You know exactly how you're showing up, to your intended ideal client. If you're hiring employees, you can build company culture. You're going to hire people easily because if you see the same values that you have for your brand, that's a match. It helps you with personalization and standing out from the crowd. engaging content. I can't tell you how many business owners I have that they're like, I don't know what to post today. And I'm like, yes, you do. Go back to your brand deck. It's all there. It helps you with engaging content. And it also helps you visualize your goals. And what we all want in business is profits. Branding truly helps you make profits faster. I'll use myself as an example. I launched Fama Agency at the height of the pandemic. What Fama Agency was then and what it is today, completely different. Completely different audience now. Even the language I had on the website, different. And it only happened when I sat down and did the deep work and started to analyze my numbers. Like, who am I selling to? Who are my customers? Where is most of my revenue coming from? And when I started to see that I was doing more work with lawyers and it was easy work and impactful work, then guess what? I changed my messaging all around to attract not just lawyers, because I started to notice that lawyers also want to be visionaries and founders. So my messaging now is that I help CEOs, visionaries, and founders with their growth strategies. Versus before, it was like a free for all, right? So when they landed on my website, they could see themselves and now book an appointment with me. And I started to see profits come in faster. So that's the beauty about brand development. And this is one of my quotes that I like to tell everybody when I talk about branding, because it's what I've had to learn the hard way from having my own businesses. Fama Agency is not my first business. I had a salon. I inherited a hotel business in the Dominican Republic. I own real estate. And so what I've learned with all those businesses, that in order for me to connect with my audience, I have to be okay with being the most vulnerable person in the room, because that's when I'm my most powerful. That's when I'm able to actually connect with people. And that's what people want. They want to connect with you, trust you, to then buy into your products and services. So that's my presentation for today. I'm happy to stay connected with you all. So you can follow me on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn.